victory over Phil Ringener after 83-pin win over Marshall Holman. Bo, records.
188 pins, Chris, and earlier I had a couple of messages on the Ask Bo, and here's one with a little levity to it. Watch this. Today's Ask Bo question comes from Patty Sisk of East Detroit, Michigan, and it goes like this. Dear Bo, my husband was bowling in league, and the ball stuck on his thumb. He continued his follow-through. He fell over the foul line, but he never released the ball. Is this considered a foul? Well, the answer is no. ABC regulations, American Bowling Congress regulations say, unless you release the ball and it touches on the lane surface and you pass over the foul line, it is not a foul. If you have an Ask Bo question, write me at Ask Bo, Post Office Box 217, Ansonia Station, New York, New York, 10023.
Okay, Ask Bo. And it's been a while since we've had an all-left-handed final on the Professional Bowlers Tour.
That's indeed true, Chris, and really a comparison in styles. The big guys, Steve Cook, 6 feet 7 inches tall, 270 pounds, against Rod Pasteur, the man who is just all lane control, speed, and accuracy. And, you know, going back to that Ask Bo shot, Chris, have you ever thrown one where the ball never came off your thumb?
No. I've gone down the lane, but the ball did as well. I was going to ask, how did he recover after back surgery?
That's about it.
It's a tough break, isn't it? But here now, after practicing on the part of 27-year-old Rod Pasteur, who had 9 strikes in his last victory, 8 in the previous win. And this is a rematch of the 1986 Austin Open, where Cook beat Pasteur 189 to 180. It was the last win for Big Steve and the best PBA finish for Pasteur, second.
Rod Pasteur has been in the winner's circle before, but not at the pro level. He has a tremendous amateur record. He won the Georgia All Events 1984. He's bowled and had success in amateur levels in the famous Hoinke tournament, the Southern Match Game tournament. But never has he been in this position, bowling 1 game for his first PBA title, $27,000, and a trip to the Firestone.
Converted the split, fortunately for him, as he now today is going against the 2nd United States Open champion, defeating Holman.
If there was any doubt if he's going to be tentative with the shot, look at this. He almost leaves an 8-10 split, overpowered the rack. Bad break for Rod Pasteur, but an easy spare to start with, Chris.
Now, 265 pounds, 6 foot 7 inch Steve Cook, looking for his first victory in 2 years. He has 12 titles in an 11-year career, winning his first in Alameda in 1979. Well, he left a 3-5 on the right lane.
You may ask, what makes a good left-handed condition or good right-handed condition? And the answer was very simple here. I interviewed all 5 players before we went on the air, and the left-hander said, you know, lane 37 and 38 here at Squaw Peak is a equal pair. Both lanes react the same, where the right-handers, as we saw, had trouble with lane 38, and it's just how the boards are put in the lane. There's a few hard boards on the right side of lane 38, made it a little bit more difficult for the right-handers. 2 lefties for the title.
All right. Coming up quickly, taking out the 3-5. Steve Cook, match all even after 1 frame. They're bowling for $27,000 to the winner. The man that finishes second, $14,000. The red ball of Pasteur and the black ball of Steve Cook.
Rod just looking at his clock. Takes about 15 minutes to win a title match, Rod.
Steve, after all his practice, wondering why he can't get them all with 1 shot, leaving a 3-pin.
The wide sweeping hook of Steve Cook out too wide, leaves the 3-pin, and if one thing Steve Cook has to guard against is being a little bit careless with spares. We saw Houston go by one, we saw Holman go by one, but this man here has had some problems with single-pin spares in championship rounds. He just has to be careful.
Now Pasteur ready. Marshall Holman defeated David Houston in our first game, 222 to 199, and then Pasteur over Holman, 231 to 148, then over Ringener, 278 to 173. Spare up, second frame. 18th strike of the afternoon. Reginald and Gloria, his parents.
Have to be all pretty proud of Rod's performance so far, but the one thing you have to really consider when you have a person who has never been in the winner's circle, Rod Pasteur, going against an experienced veteran Steve Cook, who really can perform in the clutch, is when do they start looking forward to that 10th frame, try to win the match by hoping it instead of bowling it. You have to bowl one ball at a time. If Rod can do that, he will not beat himself here. The only opponent he would have would be Cook.
Starting another string now, as he did in the previous game, where he opened with a spare and then 9 in a row. So Steve Cook with a pair of spares will be shooting in the third as he returns the glove to that left hand. Tomorrow on ABC, Oldsmobile presents the Winston stock car race. This is really fascinating. What competition? 19 of NASCAR's finest go wheel to wheel, live except on the West Coast. Then on Mutual of Omaha's Spirit of Adventure, Peggy Fleming joins host Jim Fowler as they explore the plight of the black rhinoceros and elephant in Africa's poaching war. It all begins at 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central and Pacific, tomorrow right here on ABC. Stock car racing, the finest. Nope.
Steve Cook a little out of sync. I watched him warmed up. He warmed up, he struggled. Then he quit for about 15 minutes, which is a good idea. Then he came back and warmed up a little bit more. Never really got in sync. I've watched his first 3 shots here. He's either too fast or too slow. Steve Cook normally, when he's bowling very well, takes his first 2 steps very slowly, gets a little more momentum in that 3rd step, and then just rips the cover off the ball through that pivot step and sliding step. Sometimes you just can't put it together. Bowling is very much like a baseball pitcher. You can warm up. You don't know what you have until the game starts. Let's see if Cook can turn it around.
Next week we are in Fresno, California. Right now, let's get an answer to the question, what problems do big men find in bowling?
I say the biggest problem for me is keeping my knees strong, because the main thing for me is to make sure I get a good deep knee bend. And for a big guy, that's important, but you also got to keep your knees strong so you keep it in good shape.
6'7", 265 pounds. 3 spares, 4th frame. So we'll keep an eye on the big man now going against Rod Pasteur. You'll see it right after your Pro Bowlers Classic. Rod Pasteur has been the sensation of our competition this afternoon. 2 victories. He's looking for his first win, going against a 12-time champion, including the 1986 United States Open, Steve Cook. Here's Pasteur. Double up. Leaving the 4, 6, 10.
Just too soft. Rod Pasteur just kind of sitting around saying, hey, I've never been behind a match all day today. I can get another big lead. Just what we call babied the ball down there too slowly. Ball drifts high. He's got trouble.
So after a double, an open frame. 75 through 4.
And as Frank Esposito, our television coordinator, always says, the game is now on. 2 pins separate these two players. And there's a man who's been to the winner's circle 11 times. A man who has never even bowled this game before. Tell you what, Chris, with today's urethane bowling balls, you very seldom see a pocket hit leave a pocket-type back row split. 7-9 for a left-hander, as you see Rod Pasteur has, or an 8-10 for a righty. Rod just has to get it together now. That's 2 tough frames.
Western leading, now trailing by 13, and that can go to 23 as Cook has a strike up shooting in the 5th. And the